Hi, it's Megan. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be sharing with you 3 crock pot pasta recipes for Crocktober. If you missed my video last week, I shared another 3 crock pot meals that you might be interested in. So today all of the crock pot meals are focused around pasta and they are super quick and very good. My family really enjoyed all of them. So let's turn the camera around and I'll show you my first recipe. Okay, here's everything you need to make crock pot mac and cheese. You are going to need 16 ounces or 4 cups of elbow macaroni. You're also going to need 4 tablespoons of butter, 8 ounces of cream cheese. You're going to put all of that into a greased crock pot. And then you are going to add 3 cups of whole milk, 1 cup of half and half, 2 teaspoons of salt, 1 teaspoon of pepper. You're going to cook that on low for an hour and a half until your pasta is done cooking. And then you're going to add 3 cups of shredded cheese. Today I'm just going to be using this cheddar jack. In the original recipe, it suggests doing 2 cups of sharp cheddar cheese and 1 cup of pepper jack cheese. And if you shred it yourself, it's going to be creamier and melt a little bit better. But I'm just going for convenience today, and I'm just going to use the pre-shredded stuff. So I'll show you what that looks like to assemble it. So here I am, I'm using my 2-cup measure, and I'm just pouring my 4 cups of macaroni down into my greased crock pot liner. And then I'm going to cube up those 4 tablespoons of butter and kind of sprinkle that on top across the pasta. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the cream cheese. After I open it, I'm going to cube it up into smaller sections and just kind of layer that on top of the pasta and the butter, just so that it can melt and then go down into the pasta and it melts a lot easier that way. I'm also going to be adding my salt and my pepper to the top of the pasta and the butter and cream cheese. And then I'm going to be adding my whole milk. So again, I have a 2-cup measure here. So I'm adding 2 cups and then 1 cup of milk, just layering that on top. And then I'm going to add an additional 1 cup of cream. You could use half and half. It just won't be quite as creamy. It is very creamy. So definitely using half and half more milk would be totally fine. And then here, partway through the cooking process, I am just mixing it up so that the pasta doesn't really stick together. And I did find that the recipe said to cook it on low for an hour and a half, and I did. And I also needed to cook it an additional 30 minutes on high. So I would experiment and maybe try cooking it for maybe like an hour to an hour and a half on high and see if that cooks your pasta a little bit better. So here I am again, just stirring it, testing the pasta to make sure that it's done, and it was. So then I go ahead and start adding in my cheese. I add about 1 handful or 1 cup at a time, stir it, get it all mixed in, and then keep adding additional cups of cheese. I did end up adding about 3 to 4 cups, and you'll notice that the mac and cheese does look a little bit soupy, a little bit runny. The longer you let it sit, the more it will soak up. And when you are reheating this, tastes much creamier. If you want to make it creamy again, add a little bit of milk when you are reheating it, and that will kind of reactivate the sauce so it's not quite as dry. So here, after it's sat for maybe 15 or 20 minutes, it has thickened up quite a bit, and it's really good. So here's our next recipe. This is crock pot lasagna. You are going to need some mozzarella or Italian style cheese, some cottage cheese, Parmesan cheese, some crushed tomatoes is what the recipe called for. I just used petite diced because that's what I had. Some tomato paste, brown sugar. You'll also need lasagna and some salt, garlic powder, black pepper, basil, oregano, and thyme. So what you're going to do in this recipe is you are going to create like your red sauce layer and create your white sauce layer. So what I'm doing here is I poured out my 2 cans of tomatoes. You could use your immersion blender to get the more of a crushed consistency, but my family doesn't really care that much. So I mixed my 2 cans of tomatoes, my jar of tomato paste, my seasonings. As you can see, I'm adding those right now. And then I basically just mixed all of this up until it was all cohesive. There's the brown sugar. Just mixed it up until all my spices and seasonings were mixed in. And then I'm going to start working on my white sauce layer. And for that, I'm just going to add my 2 cups of cottage cheese, some basil, and some Parmesan cheese as well. I'll make sure that I have the recipes for all of these listed down in the description box so that you can easily find them and check them out. So after I have both of those layers done, I'm going to add just my half cup of sauce to the bottom of my crock pot. And I did use a liner for this because I wasn't sure how much it would stick. I did spray my liner. Then I added my half cup of sauce, and then I added my layer of noodles. The recipe calls to double layer your noodles. So I'd put like kind of 2 on top of each other, and that's what I did. And it definitely is a very good consistency. And then on top of those pasta noodles, you're going to add your white layer, your red sauce layer, and then a layer of cheese. And then you're going to repeat the process, do another double layer of noodles. It suggests using the no-bake noodles, which is what I did, and they turned out really, really well. Then I'm going to use another portion of my cottage cheese layer, some more of my red sauce layer. You're going to end up making about 3 layers total of all of these. And then another layer of my cheese. And then again, my final layer of noodles. I just kind of broke them to fit in the best that I could. I preferred to have more noodles than less noodles, so I did break like little tiny pieces to kind of fill in on the sides. And that seemed to help the lasagna hold together pretty well. So then I put the cottage cheese layer on top, and then my final red sauce layer on top, and then I topped all of that finally with the last of my cheese. And then the recipe calls to get between like a third and a half cup of water. I used a half, and I just drizzled it around the very edge of the crock pot, and that just helps to kind of steam and cook the noodles. So you're going to cook that. So after that's done, you're going to pull it out of the heating element and let it sit for 20 minutes so that it can solidify, and then pull it out. So here we're making buffalo chicken pasta in the crock pot. What you are going to need is it says 1.5 pounds of chicken. I just used 1 large chicken breast. You're also going to need 3 cups of chicken broth, which here I have my homemade broth that I've frozen. I will show you in a video coming up in a couple weeks how to make that. You're also going to need 1/4 cup of some buffalo sauce, and we're going to put all of those things in the crock pot to cook. You're going to top that with 2 tablespoons of ranch seasoning, a little bit of garlic powder, and then a block of cream cheese on top of all that. And you're going to let that cook all day until the chicken's done. After that's done, you're going to add in some shredded cheese and your fettuccine noodles or linguine noodles and let those cook. I forgot to film what it looked like assembling, but you can see in here I have my chicken on the bottom, my frozen chicken broth, my seasonings, and my cream cheese is just there on top. And we're just going to let that cook all day till the chicken is nice and shreddable. So here it's been cooking, pulling out my chicken so that I can shred it. The original recipe says you can add another 1/4 cup of buffalo sauce with that. I didn't do that because my kids were eating it. I didn't think they would like it too spicy. And then you can see I added a mixture of a cornstarch slurry where I added a tablespoon of cornstarch with a couple tablespoons of water. And then I'm whisking that into the liquid that is left in the crock pot. And then I'm adding my pasta noodles on top of that. And then you're going to let that cook for about another hour on high, stirring every 15 or 20 minutes or so. So I put the pasta in, and then I put my chicken on top, and then I put it back on high again for about another hour where I'm stirring occasionally. And then here we go. This is what it looks like at the end. It's really, really good. I was having a hard time getting it in frame for you, but these are all the recipes that I have for this week. Check back next week, and I'll see you next time for another crockpot video. Bye.